get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I want to welcome you back to No Repeat, a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. Joining me are my co-hosts Tyler Reed.
Hey, everyone. Last week we had a lot of fun. However, I think I had a little too much coffee. You may have noticed that from the recording. That being said, I stayed up till 1 a.m. playing Animal Crossing, woke up at 3:30 a.m., completely wide awake, and I was unable to fall asleep.
Yay, social distancing. And Sean Evans.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and start.
The quarantine continues. Tyler, what was our challenge this week?
This week, we're trying to find the perfect song for a quarantine, suggested by Taste50Fan13. If you want to send in your own challenge, go ahead and send us a challenge on Instagram or Twitter as No Repeat Pod.
We were trying to keep track before we started recording of how long we've been in the disease times and how long ago the before times really were. Was it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 years, 12 episodes of Tiger King? No one really knows. And when we were doing this challenge this week, I definitely felt some pressure of like the quarantine, the social distancing, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of an emotional roller coaster. Some days you're like, this is totally fine. I don't want to leave the house. And then other days you're like, I need to just go to a mall and be around other humans that I don't know and spend all of my time with. And it's very confusing and very, like, emotionally complex. And so I wanted to pick a song this week that I felt like captures maybe the better moments of social distancing, because I'm trying to keep a positive outlook on this, guys. I'm trying to remember that every day that I stay at home is saving lives, but it's hard to do.
So I've more or less been self-quarantined for 4 months now, as I took my personal sabbatical to level up my art. So I was pretty used to the lifestyle already. I was like, yeah, I just sit at home and I draw, and then I go to the gym, and then I, hang out with my roommate and I play Smash. Like, not much different. And then it kind of really hit me this week. I was just like, oh, I can't go to the gym and I'm just staring at a screen literally all day, because I'm like, well, I'm going to draw on my tablet, and I'm going to watch YouTube, and I'm going to listen to music, and I'm going to play video games. I'm like, that's a lot of screen time. It's a lot of screens. And so eventually I just decided, well, I guess I'm just going to start walking. That's been fun. I've explored my neighborhood. There's lots of little, lots of sidewalks, so I can just go as far as I want. I can walk straight to downtown Cincinnati if I want. It has nothing to do with my song pick, though.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're keeping relatively sane, even if you have been on quarantine hard mode for the last 4 months. Sean, how's social distancing treating you?
Sean's too busy crying because of my life. He's thinking about it too much. He's like, who is this person? Why have I known them my entire life?
Tyler makes a great point. If we all just lived more sedentary lifestyles, we wouldn't even be here right now. I mean, that's the thing. We're all like out there, like trying to have lives and, interact with one another and stimulate things that need to be stimulating. But if we were just all introverted artists, I mean, if you want to look, if we spend so much money at trying to find a cure for COVID-19, but Taylor, the cure has been in front of us for the past 4 years.
It's just live at home and do art.
That's exactly right. Art.
In my defense,
the answer was art all along.
Most people I know have 9 to 5s. So I'm like, well, I want to do stuff during the AM, and nobody can do that. That's why I started going to bingo at a bar every week. That, something I would never do on purpose. But you know what?
Oh, man. I texted a friend on Friday night, and I was like, it's the first real weekend of spring in Atlanta. All I want to do is sit on the patio of a bar and drink an ice cold beer. Because that's what you do in Atlanta. Like, you go to bars with outdoor seating. If a bar doesn't have outdoor seating, you do not go there, because what's the point? And we can't. Like, we just can't. You can drink outside, but you have to be 6 feet away from everybody, which means you're like on your little balcony of your apartment or like in the park awkwardly on your own little picnic blanket secluded away from everybody. Like, that's not fun. This is prime outdoor season. It's like the best part of living in the South, and we just can't go outside. Of course, now the pollen has hit, so no one wants to go anywhere. But for a couple of golden days there, we could have gone outside and we missed it. But let's talk about music. Let's not get too down on the...
Wait. You didn't even give me a chance to talk about my little thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. How's social distancing, Sean?
It's fine. No, I mean, it's like... I'm an introverted person, so...
Already a hermit.
Like, how do we talk about... Like, how do I say this? So, a couple weeks ago, I was driving home from work before, everything went down. It was right at the beginning. And there was this article on NPR, and it was about how extroverts are, like, struggling to cope, right? And they had this nice lady on, and she was like, when I get done with work, I turn my computer off, and I go home, and I hang out with my family, and maybe we'll go to a museum, or we'll all hang out. And she's like, that's how I relax. I go and hang out with other people, and social distancing is just really putting a kink in that whole situation because I find myself unable to relax, because I can't be around people, and I just couldn't relate to that. And I just thought, like, wow, I'm so overstimulated at work. I go home and I like just do my own crafts, and I kind of build up like a whole introverted lifestyle at home. I ride bikes. Solitary sport. I run, solitary sport. I play guitar by myself, partially by choice. I mean, photography is a pretty solitary thing to do too. I like TV. Don't need anybody for that.
Television.
So it's good. No, it's fine. And honestly, like the only time that I really see people on a regular basis is my wife and I go on walks. Because I work from at home now for the foreseeable future, probably. And, God, when people walk close to you, this is an introverted problem. When people walk too close to you and you're kind of like, don't bump into me, I don't want to touch you. Mm-hmm. And now people walk like out in the street to avoid you. Like, it's finally like.
This is your dream.
It's happening. It's. Like, I don't have to, because I sort of live in the South too, and when it gets hot, I don't want to be around other people, because, like, I feel like the heat kind of makes people crazy a little bit, like everybody wants to fight when it gets hot, everybody, got a little, I myself can get a little pungent when it's warm, and this has totally prevented that, all of that stuff. Now, I like Taylor, miss bars. I miss having human contact. I mean, not physically, but seeing humans. My friends here, I miss them. You guys are fine. I see you all the time, regardless of whatever happens, and it is what it is. That's fine.
Our transaction has never changed.
But
yeah, full disclosure, the three of us have never been in the same room in the entire time that we've made this podcast, so this is just business as usual for us.
We were doing it before it was the hip thing to do. Although it is kind of interesting to see all these. There's a bunch of like music podcasts and stuff out there now that it's like how to make music when you can't be with your bandmates. And I'm thinking like this might be the best time for me to join a band.
I'm also loving all of the prominent musicians who are doing like random live streams and stuff. Like I've dropped in on Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, like playing old B-sides that he's never played live on acoustic guitar at home just for fun. Like, that kind of stuff is so cool to me.
And all this, like, music's coming out?
Oh, I know.
Like, all this, like, unreleased stuff?
It's a great time to be a music fan. So let's dive into songs. How did you guys pick the perfect song for quarantining and social distancing, or whatever you want to call it?
I knew this was going to be a shot from the hip, because I felt like it had to be something that just kind of hit me. It had to just, like, strike me as, this is the song, obviously. Like, I think I was just looking for something that kind of encapsulated the moment, something that felt like it was of maybe this time, like I know that the challenge was a quarantine, but I mean, I figured I would say, what is this quarantine going to like kind of stick in my mind as? What's the song that's going to keep with me? And so it's not to be like I don't want to like think about the song and think about like, wow, I sure remember this plague that, that ravaged the country for years, but I was like, there has to be a song that's kind of people are rallying behind. And I figured I would just find something, it would just kind of strike me. Or I was just kind of looking for something that was just something I've really been listening to, I guess.
And whenever I want to be alone, I just go to this same artist. Well, I shouldn't say alone, because I like to listen to his music when I just want to hang out with my wife. Luckily, my wife and I like each other, so...
You can sit in that silence and it's okay.
Hanging out with her all the time is... Yeah. So... No, it's fine, because we're both like house cats. We do our house cat things, and then we, hang out like house cats do. It's nice.
See, I think I went a little bit more in depth this week because I really, like I said at the top of the show, I've been kind of emotional roller coaster with this whole process. But what really motivated my choice this week was I opened my sliding door onto my little pseudo balcony here in my apartment, which is really just a railing around a window, which is not helpful. But I opened it up and I was getting some fresh air the other night, and my neighbor, a couple apartments over and up a floor, I can see diagonally into her window from mine, and she was blasting Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, which is a song that I totally adore. And then she just kept the hits coming. She had all this great 80s pop and some dance hall stuff and just some really great music. And I looked up there at one point and she's just dancing her heart out to this music that she's blasting for everybody to hear. And I realized that is one benefit of social distancing. You can always dance like no one's watching because no one's around. And so I wanted to pick a song that had a really nice dancey beat that I could dance around my apartment to, just enjoy that solitude for, at least one of the upsides of it. And I also wanted something that kind of had some lyrical connection to home or to seclusion or something. And I was digging through the depths of my library, and I found a song that was about a pandemic that is also dancey and poppy and fun. And I was like, this is it. This is the one. It was the holy grail of songs for this challenge, and I was so pumped to pick it. With that being said, do you guys mind if I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. It sounds like you definitely prepared more for this one than I did.
You got it. So this week I chose We Will Become Silhouettes by the Postal Service.
And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, pretending the echoes belong to someone. Someone I used to know. And we become silhouettes when our bodies finally go.
If for some reason you aren't familiar with the Postal Service, they were a side project of Death Cab for Cutie frontman Ben Gibbard, who I mentioned earlier, and electronic music producer Jimmy Tamborello, and pop singer Jenny Lewis. The three of them worked together on this one record called Give Up, which has become kind of internationally acclaimed as one of the high points of the early 2000s indie scene. It's just this weird little record of electric indie pop. And We Will Become Silhouettes was one of the singles from it, but it wasn't the most popular. Everybody probably remembers them for Such Great Heights. But I really love We Will Become Silhouettes. Like I mentioned, it's a song about a pandemic. It opens with the line, "I've got a cupboard with cans of food, bottles of water, and pictures of you, and I'm not coming out until this is all over," which feels very of this moment, even though it was written in 2003. And I love that it's this sweet sing-songy melody, yet he's singing about this very dark moment, and he's trying to find little bits of beauty, like the way the light bends through his window while he's secluded in this room. And that's kind of how this feels sometimes, But then you get into the chorus, and Jenny Lewis comes in on the backing vocals, and it's so cute, and you just get more and more synths, and it builds and builds and builds, and then the last minute is just an all-out dance party. And I felt like that was a really good thing to have during this time of an acknowledgement of the times that we're living in, but also a song that's just legitimately fun, and that if you blasted it in your apartment by yourself, you could dance a little bit too. It's got everything that I was looking for, and it's been one of my go-tos this week as I've just been playing music to have noise on in the apartment when it's just me like working. I really enjoy this song, and Ben Gibbard's voice is really soothing to me.
When you initially said a song that would make you dance, I was like, I listened to the song and I was like, what is Taylor talking about? Taylor's not talking about full booty moving, shaking and grooving, right? He's talking more about like an NPR shuffle, right? Like
this is not dropping it low.
No, it's an important distinction, and both are legitimate and valid. I just wanted to just be like, okay, wait, hold on, what kind of dancing are we talking about? That being said,
this is like my little work from home dance.
Okay, all right. So that out of the way, I like the Postal Service. I like this song. It's not exactly what I thought you would say about this song. I kind of really like how sort of soft it is. It kind of makes you, it's kind of like one of those songs that could make you feel like kind of infinite, where you're just kind of like staring and kind of maybe looking out your window and just kind of like observing the world as it's kind of like in this fugue state where you don't know exactly what's going on. And that's kind of like what the Postal Service kind of makes you feel. It kind of pulls at this sort of like a happy melancholy almost, no, like wistfulness. And I feel like for a time of such uncertainty, I feel like this is a really good pick for that. That being said, I think your description's also good. But yeah, I think also that the breakdown at like 3:30 is really cool and really nice. That's kind of like the part that's really like grooving. And I'm like, if that had gone through the whole song, I could see a little more body movement with that. But yeah, definitely good. Definitely like the song. Love it. Good pick.
I don't see the dancey part of this song. It kind of sounds like a morning ballad for EDM people. But it fits the theme really well. I'm not a huge Postal Service fan, so I'm not going to get on board and say, like, I would listen to this, or I'm excited to have this on the playlist. But it's a great song for the playlist, for the challenge, and I'm glad that you like it. I don't feel so peppy and optimistic, so that's might be why I don't totally share out all your feelings with this one. I don't want to eat those words when I talk about Tyler's song, but I like his voice. I like all the looping.
Yeah, for sure. Ben Gibbard is definitely a vocalist I like, and I think he has a nice soft voice, and I feel like that kind of also fits kind of the mood you're kind of going for as well.
Yeah, there's something about just like a nice soft vocal when you're just like listening to music at home, you know? And if people haven't listened to that Postal Service album, if they've maybe only heard Such Great Heights, just put it on this week. It's only about an hour long. It's a pleasant time.
And it's the only one. It's the only you'll ever get. Or you can listen to Owl City.
Don't do that. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right, Tyler, what do you have for us?
This week I chose Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust.
So there's a lot of context I need to provide for the song, because this is both an artist I've never listened to before this week and like a really fresh album right out the gate that I also haven't listened to until this week. So I was talking to someone this week and she had given me a playlist of songs to listen to, and so kind of as that was kind of happening, my roommate had actually had to go to the emergency room for a minute. He's fine. Still freaked out, you know, but because they didn't allow people to sit in the waiting room, I had to just sit out in my car. So I was just hanging out and I was listening to this playlist and I heard the song sort of unconsciously or subconsciously. And I told her, it's like, oh, hey, I like this song. This song's really cool. And so like the next morning, for some reason, there was this TikTok that had gone viral on Twitter, where people like get like their family members and they all do this kind of coordinated dance to the song. And for like a whole minute, I was like, hey, I really like this song. Has a really cool beat. I wonder what song it is. And I literally like looked it up. I'm like, oh my God, it's a song I was just listening to last night. How did I not make that connection? And so in some ways, I had really just like, oh, I like this. This is a real bop. The TikTok is hilarious. But it's pretty TikTok fair where it's like, it's people doing a coordinated dance, whatever. Anyway, so I've never listened to The Weeknd. This album just dropped. Anthony Fantano gave it a decent review. And I was like, wow, we're going to listen to it. But I think what's kind of fun about this is it's a little bit nice escapism. It's 80s, kind of synthy. Kind of lets you just kind of forget what's kind of going on. It's just kind of a good bop. And I feel like what's kind of also really nice about it is that the sort of the little synth line, really catchy. It gets stuck in your brain. You're just gonna kind of sing it to yourself whenever you're kind of just doing stuff. So it's a real earworm. And it's just, I don't know, it just kind of hit me the right way.
I've never been a huge fan of The Weeknd, but he performed this on SNL on the last show before the quarantine. And I remember seeing that performance and thinking, oh, this is something else. Like, previously, I've kind of, like, paid attention to him, but he's been very, like, kind of croony, like, neo R&B, neo soul, like, talented, but not really, like... I've never felt like, oh, The Weeknd is going to be, like, having a moment. It's like people who know about The Weeknd are really into him. But this song has blown up in a way that I feel like he just hasn't before. And I think you're right. It is the song of the moment right now. It is the song of March 2019, the month of the COVID. It's co-produced by Max Martin, who worked on just numerous amazing pop hits like Baby One More Time, I Want It That Way, It's Gonna Be Me, Shake It Off, I Kissed a Girl, Can't Feel My Face, which was The Weeknd's previous big hit. Like, Max Martin is like a pop genius, and so I'm not surprised to see that he worked on this. I think the beat is great. That keyboard line is very like Aha, Duran Duran, like mid-80s pop melody, and I love it. I really enjoy his vocal on this in a way that I haven't in a long time. I think because it feels like he's really belting, because sometimes I feel like he kind of whisper sings, and I'm not really into that. But this is like straight up like arenas filling, echoey, big belted vocal, and I like that. I like seeing that energy from him. So this is really exciting, and if the whole album has this vibe, I'm definitely going to listen to it.
So I like the song, and I think it's catchy. I think that its shelf life is going to be pretty short. I don't see it actually making it to the summer being a popular song. And anytime that Bruno Mars wants to come out and release something, it'll just kill The Weeknd's anything off.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, not to like call him out on that or like hate on your pick because I like it. It's a really catchy song, but it just feels like it's a little bit too much ripped off of stuff. And it's not even done in like an interesting way. It's like, it seems very copycatish, and it takes all the best parts of everything. And sometimes that's not always a formula for success, right? Like if you took the best part of the pizza and the best part of the French fries and the best part of the ice cream sundae and put them all into one dish, it doesn't, you end up with like salted pepperoni with a cherry on top. Like it doesn't, you don't really get like a great thing. You really have to make something that's like a complete package. And I'd be curious. I'll probably listen to his album this week just to really get a feel for the rest of this. But it sounds good. It's catchy. I like the TikTok video that you shared with us. Like it has all the potential to be like a song in the summer, but it doesn't really capture the energy of what I expect it to have. And I think that like it also might just be because like we kind of were talking about a little bit earlier at the end of Taylor's song, is that it's really coming to its maturity right at the time when everybody seems to be like putting out a bunch of stuff. Then when there's a lot of noise, I mean, not to say that in a bad way, but like there's just a lot of stuff out there right now. Like I feel like there's another band that just released like 2 unreleased albums. Like Smashing Pumpkins just put out a demo from 1989. Like there's all this stuff, and that's just like stuff I paid attention to. And people were doing live performances and capturing everything. I don't know if it's gonna do it. Like I feel like it.
That's totally fair.
I mean, Sean brings up a good point. Like, in the same week of releases, you have a new album by Dua Lipa, 5 Seconds of Summer.
There's like 20 experimental albums that come out that Pitchfork continues to review, and I continue to try to listen to them, and I never get into them.
Jay Electronica, Lil Uzi Vert. The new Childish Gambino came out last week. Like, this particular genre is full of competition right now. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be struggling. I agree. But I'm still bullish on this song. I think it could go places, personally.
I think what would really be the nuts would be the best version, a remix or like a collaboration with Carpenter Brut. Get that little bit of the darkerness, the heavier dark synthness, in there. I think that would make it.
See, I'm the other way. I think it needs a rap. I think it needs a rap verse on the bridge.
Well, that's what I want. You could want whatever you want.
Well, okay, but that brings up a really good point. Is this just The Weeknd trying to have his like Old Town Road moment? Because as soon as that video got done playing, immediately a cover played after it. And now you're saying, oh, just add a rap verse, and like, I mean, I don't want another Old Town Road. Like I Old Town Road was Old Town Road. Okay, so.
No, I'm with you. I just think if you're to combat your criticism of it just aping all the good stuff from the 80s, I think putting a rap verse would make it feel more 2020 than 1986. Because you're right, it does feel very much like a carbon copy of like a Duran Duran song.
See that, and like, let me be clear. I think that's all fair criticism. In no way am I like I know what the song is, right? I kind of picked it just because it for almost that reason, right? But like, I think going deeper into, like, let's get real into it. Like, I feel like this kind of stuff has been kind of bubbling up, like kind of like rising to the top, like this synthwave stuff, lots of like sort of like 80s, like nostalgic kind of things. And you're right. It just kind of feels like it's cool, but it doesn't feel like it has the, like Sean says, the unique factor to it. Like, and I think collaborating with like an artist who's already doing that, there's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of them who do like dance centric, like synth wave, like with a dark twinge to it that I could easily just collaborate with this and do it. But that's not probably really the Weeknd's thing. I don't know. So
it'll be interesting to watch. Definitely a song to keep an eye on. All right. Well, Sean, that just leaves you. What do you have for us? This
week I have Father John Misty. Well, you can do it without me.
Tell you you're a genius, but you need some proof. Ask anybody on the payroll to go out with you. If they avoid you, then they'll award you. Definitely. Nobody that's around you seems to get it right. How hard is it to follow just a few guidelines and smile?
So whenever I need to have like my little reclusive moments, I always go to Father John Misty. This is kind of an older song for him. I think this album came out in like 2012. So it's been out for a while. I kind of went right to this album for songs to kind of inspire me in this time. And I guess part of me is like, I don't want to come off like I don't like people, or because I really do, and I like hanging out with friends and I enjoy being social. I'm just not totally like enthused personally about all the, I think there's a little bit of overreaction going on. And I want to say that in like a very nuanced way, that like, this is serious and I take it very seriously. But like, I just don't know where the leadership is coming from on this stuff. And like, I feel like we're going to look at this time and the advice is going to be like, just go with what you know is right. And this song is basically just about that. Just go with what you know is right.
Yeah, I think in that way this is an interesting pick because the spirit of the song really feels like this moment. This is perhaps the most interested in Father John Misty I've been. And I don't mean that to be like a slight on him, because I feel like when I first heard of him, it was when he was having a bunch of controversy surrounding him about like being kind of a charlatan, and like I want to say there was like some kind of like weird like accusations of him like running a cult or something. I don't remember. Like This was a long time ago. This was when I was in college, and I wasn't really paying close attention to it, so I may be like reading this totally wrong. But he just always kind of seemed like a weird, like, late period Rolling Stones Bob Dylan knockoff to me. Like, he just wanted to relive like the late 60s and do like electric folk about how hard his life was. And at the time I wasn't really that into it, but I have revisited some Bob Dylan over the last year or so as I'm just feeling some political malaise and like frustration with the system, and it's nice to go back to like a good protest folk song in those times. And because of that, I've gotten some more Father John Misty on my like recommended playlist, and I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to get what he's putting down, and I think this song in particular, it takes out kind of his weird personal, like almost solipsistic element that some of his songs have. Like Mr. Tillman is a very well written song, but it's so self-centered that it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Whereas this song, I feel like, is much more relatable. It's much more about like feeling that kind of indignation of like, I don't trust anything that you're saying, and this feels like a load of BS, so you can just do this without me then. And I like that. The instrumentation is nothing to write home about. I mean, it's like something off of Exile on Main Street or Highway 61 Revisited. It's just like electric blues folk revival, like whatever. But lyrically, I feel like he's making a good point here, and it feels, like you said, like with all the competing voices around this pandemic, this feels kind of how I feel. Like, I don't trust any of y'all. I'm just going to stay home and wash my hands a lot.
That's kind of, I feel, I think a lot of what you said is completely true. I think he kind of does piggyback on it a little bit, and I think the whole, the Father John Misty versus like Josh Tillman is much better, and kind of establishing like a lore about him, right? But no, you're right. Most of his songs are like 3, 4, 5 chords, 6 chords maybe. A lot of repetition, just kind of folksy but honestly, I think you would really like him because you like Ben Folds, and he plays, a lot of his albums have a lot of piano.
Do love a good piano. Tyler, this feels so outside of your current musical space. How do you feel about this?
I have never listened to Father John Misty on purpose before. I have only heard him in passing. Them is Mr. Father. Is that his?
He is a singular person with a backing band.
He is, yeah, right. He is, and the band changes.
And his name is John Misty.
No, his name is Josh Tillman. Father John Misty is a character.
Okay, so none of it's real. Gotcha. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I've never listened to Mr. Father on purpose at any point in my life, except for he played at Budbury one year, I think.
Yeah, and we just kind of wandered into his set because there was nothing else to do. I remember this. You were with me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't need this. I don't really. This feels unnecessary, because I think like right after that was like the Black Keys, and I was like, well, that's kind of. Kind of, am I uneducated?
It was still the Obama years. We didn't need protest songs.
Right. It was a different time. Sometimes I forget that time moves forward in a continuous line. Anyway, but no, aside from, I think the song kind of lyrically hitting a nail on the head, I think just compositionally, it like Taylor's kind of saying, it kind of hits that kind of like 60s, 70s, like classic rock kind of vibe. It's just kind of chill, it doesn't really ask a lot of you. It's just kind of comforting. There's something about those old songs that just kind of just feel good. And of course then they get bad because you listen to a bunch of times, and they get drowned out because you listen to the same radio station, they play the same 5 songs, but you're like, oh, these are fresh and new. This is great. I love this. And so, I think, all that being said, I mean, I'm almost considering like listening to more Father John Misty. It's fine. I think this is kind of maybe be like, oh, this is an artist that exists, and maybe I should give them a try. Instead of like kind of like that kind of crappy, like just like disregard for someone. But yeah, I think once you kind of explain kind of like the context for the song, I think it fits really well into the challenge. It's a good pick. All
right, now it's time for notable B-sides, and these were songs that were so close to getting. I want to do a play on Pandemic here, but I'm not going to do it. Pigdemic. No, that's terrible. All right. And now it's time for notable B-sides. These are songs that were so close to getting picked for your social distancing shut-in time, but, well, they just got locked out. Anybody got some notable B-sides this week?
keeping with the dancey themes of my pick, I have Home by LCD Sound System, This Must Be the Place, Naive Melody by Talking Heads, and New York by St. Vincent.
Ain't got nothing.
Shot right from the hip, didn't you?
I think I just had more Father John Misty. So just check out Father John Misty if you like that, you know?
Which album should you start with if you've never listened to Father John Misty before?
That's important. Thank you.
Let me get out my tablet of fun here.
Your stone tablet that Father John handed you from the mountaintop?
You got it. I've been really into the suburbs this week too. Fear Fun. I would just start with Fear Fun.
Right on.
I've almost picked another song off of this album for Tyler's, like a song that Tyler would like. I think it's Now I'm Learning to Love the War.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just contemplative, and I feel like Tyler's like that. He's probably not, but, you know, shallow, whatever, but you know I'm going.
Well, Tyler, if people want to be blinded by your lights, where can they do that?
Hey, everybody. You can find my design illustration work at rudepets.club. And as always, you can find me on socials as Rude Pets Club on Instagram and Twitter.
I just heard that in the Postal Service voice. Go and get blinded by Tyler's lights on Twitter.
Well, Sean, if people want to do things with you, where can they do that?
Nowhere, idiot.
That's so funny.
Hide it.
See, I want to do like a little Father John Misty thing here, but I don't want you to put it in the show. You want to find me on the Instagram? You can go and find me at Sean_Del Rey. Send me a message. Send you a photo that I took. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to respond. Ask Tyler and Taylor. They both send me messages. I never respond.
It's true.
It's true.
I read it.
And then he just leaves it red. Leaves me on red all the time. All the time. Well, if you want to wave to me from your bunker to my bunker during this pandemic, you can find me on the socials as at TC Olmstead. All of these songs are on the official No Repeat podcast playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. And assuming we don't die in the plague, we will be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.